Welcome back to AndyDemos. Today we're looking at the evolution of the full story from Anasounds. As you may know, the full story collector's edition took the player on a journey through the history of Muff circuits, utilizing a modular design that was compatible with 7 interchangeable tone cards. Now the story continues with new cards on the way and 2 new form factors to plug them into. A smaller double card version without the boost, and the effects teacher, which houses 1 card and offers swappable clipping cards and tone caps. Out of the box, you'll find 2 new custom tone cards based on the blue and gray Civil War version and the original triangle from '69. The primary circuit on the right lights up the Anasounds logo, while the secondary uses illuminated Trimpots. Each circuit includes a toggle with stock midrange voicings or boosted midrange, which comes in very handy when using one side as rhythm and the other as lead. Like other effects teacher offerings from Anasounds, this version of the full story gives the player the tools to learn and customize the circuit. In addition to a new tone card based on the modern Big Muff, 3 diode cards are provided, so you can try out the effects of MOSFET, silicon, and LED clipping on the card you're using. The 3-way clipping toggle selects between no diode clipping, stock, or the custom card you've inserted. Plus, the supplied capacitors let you change the mid-range content of the circuit without any soldering for easy experimentation. The mid toggle gives you stock in the middle, boosted mids, or whatever custom cap you've installed in the lower position. The full story standard and effects teacher versions are handmade with high-quality parts in France and feature Anasounds' signature wooden faceplates. For more info on these pedals and the growing list of tone cards, check out Anasounds.com. Alright, so let's just start with the 2 stock cards in the full story. The main Fuzz has a Civil War style muff and it's a little bit more overdrivey, still plenty of gain there. And on the secondary Fuzz, we have the classic triangle, but they've done some really cool tweaks to bring a little bit more mid-range to the forefront, shave off a little bit of the bass, and of course we have those toggle switches to let even more mids through. So let's just start with a stock Civil War style and then switch between the 2 and then of course stack them in the end. Now let's try that mid-range. It's already really present in this primary Fuzz position, but let's just see how far we can take it. So nice and woolly and thick. Of course, we have the tone control, and I could back off on the fuzz amount, and it's still kind of a clear overdrive style fuzz. It doesn't really get very muddy. going to keep the mid boost on that triangle since it sounds so great, and then I'm going to go back to the stock mid-range profile on the Civil War, since it already is sort of an overdrive sound, and we're just going to see what happens when we stack both. And the order, of course, is the one on the right is first, so we'll have a Civil War go into a triangle. Alright, so let's try some different tone cards. That's the whole fun with the full story. In the primary position, I've grabbed the ram's head. I'm going to follow it up with the op amp, and that's actually going to give us a tighter sound, so it's a great one to have in that second slot because it gives you a nice solid output and gain boost after the rams. Completely different feel and voicing from that Civil War. Now let's see what happens when we engage the mid-range boost with this ram's head. It's completely different, a little bit more pillowy. The thing I noticed with the op amp is it definitely has that sag on the attack, which is one of the reasons why I really like that circuit. But let's just back off on the fuzz amount on that one, and I'm just going to use more of the output from the op amp to give us that output boost like I was mentioning. Here's a couple different tone cards that have origins outside of the US. And this one on the right is a green style muff that really just thickens up any, simple riff you want to throw at it. And the secondary fuzz is one that was popular with bass players because it has so much bass on tap. So I'm going to leave that mid switch in the stock position, but on the primary fuzz, I'm going to play around with it and get a little bit more of that mid-range cutting through, which is great for low output pickups. let's take a few minutes and talk about the effects teacher version of the full story. This one gives you a modern tone card like the current Big Muff with a lot of crisp top end and plenty of gain. The cool thing about this one is you could take out the diode clipping in the middle position and get a huge boost. So let's just see how it sounds, straight from the factory, and then we'll play around with some different cards and see how that interacts with the different selections with the mid-range and clipping. As it is right now, how it comes from the factory, that custom setting is sort of a nice balance between a lot of mid-range and a classic scooped sound. Now let's change the clipping and see what happens. Lots of output there, so I'm just going to back it off a little bit, and we'll change the fuzz and the tone to kind of, just gel with this extreme output here. All right, so let's dive deep. First, I'm going to take off the back panel and remove the tone card. Remember, we had that modern Big Muff, and we're going to swap it out for the Civil War, but not just yet. While we have the tone card out, it's really easy to remove the clipping card and the tone cap. The stock clipping was LEDs, and so we're going to replace that with some MOSFETs. Again, you don't need any soldering, you just tighten the 2 screws in the terminal block. Then it's on to the tone cap. We're going to be increasing it slightly from 3.9 to 4.7 nanofarad, which translates to more mid-range and presence. To give you a better idea, when the switch is in the up position, the value there is 20 nanofarad. Again, we're going with the Civil War, which really blends well with a little extra mid-range, and the MOSFET clipping. So let's hear what that sounds like. Now here's the new mid cap. And that's the stock clipping, so let's go to the new one, which has MOSFETs involved. Well, as you can imagine, you can just have a field day with this one, not just changing the tone cards, but also the clipping and the mid-range response with those caps. Be sure to check out Anasounds and all they have to offer with these tone cards in both the effects teacher version and the dual card version. And this one, unlike the first one they came out with, is not a limited run, so hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on these and they'll be able to keep cranking them out in France. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for another Andy demo.